The most influential man in history left no book, yet he changed the world. For some people, faith does not collapse because of suffering. It collapses because of history. The reason is simple. If Jesus never existed, Christianity falls with him. After all, Christianity is not built merely upon teachings. It is built upon a person, a real person, a historical person. So when doubt arises about whether Jesus actually lived, the consequences are enormous. Because if the foundation disappears, the structure above it becomes difficult to trust. Here's the context. Modern skepticism has produced what is often called the Jesus myth theory. The theory argues that Jesus was not a historical individual but a legendary or symbolic figure created by early Christians. For some people, this idea sounds persuasive. After all, Jesus never wrote a book. No photograph exists. No video recording exists. Most people know him through religious texts. This creates uncertainty for those unfamiliar with ancient history. Here's revelation. Here's something many people discover only after studying the subject carefully. Among profound professional historians, the existence of Jesus is not primarily controversial. The overwhelming majority of historians, including non-Christian historians, accepted that Jesus existed as a historical figure. The debate is usually about his identity and significance, not whether he lived. Ancient references to Jesus appear not only in Christian writings, but also in sources associated with figures such as Josephus and Tacitus, who mention Jesus or the early Christian movement. Here are some mistakes. A common mistake is expecting ancient history to meet modern standard of documentation. People ask, where are the recordings? But we possess no recordings of most figures from antiquity. We evaluate ancient history through manuscripts, contemporary references, archaeological context, historical testimony. Using those standards, Jesus is actually better attested than many ancient figures whose existence is rarely questioned. Here's the tension point. The real historical debate is often not, did Jesus exist? Instead, it becomes, who was Jesus? Was he a teacher, a prophet, a revolutionary, a mistaken preacher, the Son of God? The history can establish existence. Identity requires a different level of examination. Here's the scripture for us. John 20:31. It says, these are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. The New Testament writers do not present Jesus as mythology. They presented him as someone they believe had entered into history. Here's the deeper truth. Many people assume Christianity asks them to believe in an idea, but Christianity makes a historical claim. It claims that something happened, that a man lived, taught, was crucified, and that his followers became convinced he rose from the dead. Whether one accepts those claims is another discussion, but the claims themselves are rooted in history. Here are some corrections. A more productive question is not did Jesus exist, but what does the historical evidence suggest about Jesus? Because once existence is granted, attention naturally shifts toward his message, his actions, and the extraordinary impact he had on the world. Here are some verdicts. History cannot force faith, but it can frame the conversation. And the conversation surrounding Jesus remains remarkable. A carpenter from a small region of the ancient world became the central figure of the world's largest religion. Empires rose and fell. Philosophies appeared and vanished. Yet the question remains, not merely did Jesus exist, but who was he? And 2,000 years later, humanity is still debating the answer. Hallelujah. Christ is love.